So just a reminder that absolutely no one is perfect. We're not supposed to be perfect. We're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're not supposed to know the plan for the rest of your life. Otherwise, that would not be very fun. We don't want to admit it always, but if we knew everything, like that would take the fun out of this whole life journey. And there can be so much fun in not knowing. Not only is it okay to not know, which is like the whole theme of this chat right now, but there can be some fun in not knowing. There's possibilities. Welcome to Alignment Adventures. This is a podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling, aligning, and present life. I'm your host, Lindsay Tanner, and I am so grateful that you are here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Alignment Adventures. As always, I'm just beyond grateful and excited that you're here with me today, that you decide to spend time with me, and that's really what I want to make today's episode feel like. I mean, I hope they all feel like this, but especially this one. You're sitting down with a friend. We just got coffee at a cute local coffee shop. Whatever your favorite coffee is or whatever your favorite drink is, doesn't even have to be coffee. We're sitting there having a deep chat because that's one of my favorite things to do is go to a local coffee shop, or it can be anywhere. But of course, my favorite is going to a coffee shop and having deep conversations. And today what I want to talk about is how it's okay to not know. How it's okay to not know. And when I first started writing about this, one of the things that popped into my mind was back when I was a teacher. If you didn't know, I used to be a science teacher. People just assumed I knew everything because I was a teacher, especially about science. And I did not know everything about science, nor do I now know everything about science, or will I ever know everything about science. I don't think anyone does. It's just one of those assumptions people have. Just probably like if you're a nurse, they assume you know every health ailment, or if you're a doctor or whatever it may be. People can just assume, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's no way we can know everything about everything, and it's okay to not know. And not only is it okay to not know things like factually or information, but it's okay to not know things about how your life will turn out. I know that can be so difficult to hear and feel if you feel like you're in a season of waiting or wanting to manifest something, or maybe you're just in a season that you just don't feel very aligned or very happy, or you're just unsure, you're just confused, you're just lost, you're a lost soul. I get you. It's no surprise to you guys. I felt like a little lost soul this past year since we've had so much change in our life. Like, I feel you on that, and I still feel that. But there's still one constant, one thread that runs through everything that I can always come back to, that really helps me ground myself and really helps me feel peace. Peace is such an underrated thing, or maybe it's not underrated for you. But for me, sometimes it feels underrated. It brings me such peace when I do feel so worried about like, well, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years? Like, we all can spiral in that. Like when it comes to maybe stuff in our personal life, our careers, or your relationships, right? We can all wonder like, when is this thing going to show up for me? Or what path am I going to go down? Like, what's going to happen in life? And I just want to remind you, it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know. Like, just take some time to feel into that, okay? And the thing that always grounds me, I mentioned this before, but I didn't really explain it, is tuning back into my internal guidance, aka my intuition. Now, I just want to remind you of something to like maybe make you feel better, or maybe it won't, or to make me seem more human. I mean, hopefully I seem human to you, but just a vulnerable thing I want to share with you all. I have created a mini course on how to connect to your internal guidance. I hold internal guidance sessions. I was trained by Bella Lively on how to tune into your internal guidance. She calls it your inner voice. And I still forget to do it. I know it's the most powerful thing I have. I know that I can find all the answers within myself and all the peace and wisdom within myself, and I still forget to do it. And I beat myself up about it, but that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to forget. I forget all the time. That is like another theme of this season, is Lindsay can't remember the things that she teaches on here. And I just, like, we're sitting at a coffee shop, friend to friend, right? Like, I just always want to be transparent with that. Like, I forget all the time. But when I remember, it feels so freaking good to slow down, breathe, bring my awareness into my body, and just tune into that space. Sometimes I don't even hear anything, but just tuning back into that space feels so freaking good. And it helps kind of give you that bird's eye view, that expanded, higher perspective on something. Sometimes you're just too close. You're too close to this thing you're trying to manifest, and you're so focused on the not having it. Like Abraham says, you were like building up so much momentum to not having the thing. You just keep attracting not having the thing. Like, that's the energy you're putting out. So tuning back into your internal guidance just helps you release that resistance that you have towards whatever it is you're not sure about. Like, there's so many things that fall into this category, right? Like, it just makes me think of maybe someone that's trying to find their soulmate or find a healthy, fulfilling relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship or maybe a friendship. Maybe you're lacking friendships. Maybe that's something you want to manifest. Maybe you're trying to manifest a career that fulfills you, or even just a career that doesn't drive you crazy. I feel like too many of us fall into that category. Or maybe you're trying to manifest something in your family, like a new house or growing your family. So many things. And I mentioned this a lot on my podcast, but it's just very ingrained in us to be like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And we're missing all the beautiful things that we have manifested in our life up until this point. So I just want to remind you of that as well, which I need the reminder too, is tune back into the things that you have right now that you were wanting in seasons past. That's a beautiful thing to do right now. I'm recording this on the summer solstice. So Thursday, June 20th in the northern hemisphere is the summer solstice. It's the beginning of summer. It's the longest day. It's the beginning of Cancer season. It's called Letha in certain like pagan traditions, all the same thing. But there's a lot of energy around this day in terms of just like pausing, reflecting, like, what have you accomplished in this season? Like, what have you accomplished this year? Or not even accomplished, I don't want to say that, but like, how have you grown? Or like, how have you changed? How have things shifted? Can you just pause and reflect on that? Maybe you have done a lot more this year than you didn't even realize, but you're so focused on this other thing that you just kind of throw out all the other stuff, and you're like, well, yeah, I did show up for myself this way, and I did commit to this thing and follow through, and I did go out of my comfort zone on this, and I did create this thing, but I didn't do this, so all that doesn't matter. Like, why are we like that? Why is the mind like that? It drives me insane sometimes. I don't know if you can relate, but I do that so often when there are so many beautiful things within my life, within my day, that I wanted for so long, so long. So another practice that really helps me in those times where I feel like I'm in the unknown, because the unknown is so scary for the mind. That's what I'm talking about when I say it's okay to not know. It's okay to be in that unknown. But one thing that really helps me is in the morning and at night, I try to list things I'm grateful for in the morning, and then at night I list like my favorite memories, the things that I loved doing that day. And it just helps me reflect on the day. And it's always like those little moments where I like go for a walk with Arlo, or I'm reading a book with Arlo, or we're outside together, or I recorded a podcast that felt really flowy, or whatever it may be. It's just those little moments that truly fill my soul. So I just want to remind you of these things that you can always tune back into. They are free. They are totally accessible to you, and they can help you from spiraling into these pits of the unknown. Like, the unknown can seem so scary to the mind, and we can really beat ourselves up about the unknown and the things that we haven't created, when really you are a powerful creator that has already created so much abundance in your life. Just like the sun returns every year, like it's shining the most it's ever shone this year. Hopefully that's the right verbiage. It shines abundantly and faithfully, like it always comes back. The same for your intuition and your internal guidance. It is always leading you to expansion and growth and things that are serving your highest good. Sometimes you just can't see it till later on. We've talked about the power of hindsight so many times. Like, tune back into past times if you need to build your trust in your internal guidance and trust in the power of hindsight. But things are always working out for your highest good, especially when you're tuning into your internal guidance, tuning into that energy, and acting from that energy. So I just want to mention some other things that can maybe really help you in a season of unknown. And one is just taking some sort of action. And this doesn't have to be anything crazy. This doesn't have to be like starting that business or quitting the job or whatever it may be. It can be tiny, minute steps. Maybe you're like doom scrolling on your phone, which I've caught myself doing way too many times. I've even deleted social media and then re-downloaded it because I had to post some stuff for the podcast. Such a love-hate relationship with social media. But I do notice that the days that I delete it, I'm so much happier. Anyways, maybe you're doom scrolling. Can you take some action, put down your phone, bring some awareness, bring some consciousness? Those are huge things. They may not seem huge to you, but when you stop and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scrolling, you stop, you set down the phone. If it's not aligning for you, if it's like making you spiral, set it down. Maybe you've seen one too many people appearing to have like these dream lives, which we all know that social media is a highlight reel, right? Put down the phone and maybe you go outside and go for a walk, or maybe you put down the phone and pick up a book that you've been wanting to read, or maybe you put down the phone and tune into a podcast. Maybe that's what you did just now and you're listening to me. If you did, I'm so grateful you're here. It's just little steps like that. So if you're feeling really anxious and unsure about the unknown, like, can you just take a baby step in a certain direction or in a different direction? Or can you like do some research on things that bring you a lot of joy? Like, I got so much joy last year when I was researching the different zodiac seasons. I made a bunch of yoga flows for the different seasons. Or I get so much joy when I research like the different holidays, like the summer solstice and the winter solstice and the spring and fall equinox. Again, you don't have to do that, but is there something you're interested in that you can go learn about or go research? You know, there's so many little baby steps you can take, but staying in that energy of the unknown and just ruminating there on the things that you don't have or you don't know when they're going to happen or when they're going to show up doesn't necessarily benefit you. There's nothing wrong with you when you do that. There's never anything wrong with you, but staying there doesn't always serve your highest good. So can you just become aware when you do that and take a small action step in a different direction? Another thing that can be really useful, and I mentioned this in a YouTube video I recorded a few weeks ago on a bunch of different reasons that you're not hearing your internal guidance. So go and check out that video if you feel like you really cannot hear your internal guidance. There's a bunch of reasons there why you may not be hearing them. But one of the reasons that I mentioned is you may not be hearing it because you're not giving your mind space to say what it needs to say. So maybe even though you are ruminating in this energy and spiraling about the unknown, maybe just the act of getting it all out there is going to release that energy and is going to make you feel so good. So maybe you can get out a note on your phone or journal, pen to paper, or talk to a friend, or even voice note yourself, like record your voice on a voice note. I used to do that all the time. I don't very much anymore, but that's a powerful practice. You can just do it on your phone. Get it out there. Like, what does your mind have to say about a subject? It's probably got a lot to say, maybe like a paragraph or two, or maybe a few paragraphs, a few pages. Don't judge anything that comes out, but get it out. Get it out of your brain, out of your mind, onto paper, onto whatever space you're recording it and just get it out and see how you feel after that. A lot of times that just creates space for you to tune into your internal guidance. And I've mentioned this before, and I just want to say it again, like, the mind isn't the enemy. The mind isn't evil. The mind can create a lot of momentum in the opposite direction of where we want to go. The mind loves to worry and figure things out and problem solve. It's just about like melding your mind and your intuition, your internal guidance together, like getting a little bit from both and finding that ebb and flow of like, you know, using the mind to solve certain problems that you need to, but also tuning into that loving wisdom on like which direction you want to head with your life, or tuning into that loving, peaceful wisdom when you're unsure. That's where I feel right now. Like, I really don't know what life's gonna look like in the next year, couple years. I mean, does anyone really know? Like, we're all in the unknown. Even when you think you know, you really don't, right? Like, there are so many unknowns, and I'm not trying to bring you more anxieties. That is not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to remind you that, like, even though the mind finds so much comfort in planning things out and getting a planner and like, you know, planning out our days and our weeks and having routines, there's nothing wrong with that. By the way, I'm actually wanting to get back into a paper planner, and I've been wanting to get back into more practical planning of things because I only have certain chunks of the day where I can get things done. I lost my train of thought. What am I trying to say here? Oh, your mind has its time and place of like helping you figure things out, solve problems, plan things, but also bringing in that beautiful, nourishing, expansive energy of your heart. I think that's where my internal guidance lives, in my heart. Sometimes it can live in your gut or somewhere in that region. Is so powerful. Like, it's just almost indescribable, the feelings and the things that have happened from tuning into that energy. And I beat myself up sometimes because I forget to tune back in, even though that is part of my work on here. That is part of my mission. That is part of something that I feel so called to do. So just a reminder that absolutely no one is perfect. We're not supposed to be perfect. We're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're not supposed to know the plan for the rest of your life. Otherwise, that would not be very fun. We don't want to admit it always, but if we knew everything, like, that would take the fun out of this whole life journey. And there can be so much fun in not knowing. Not only is it okay to not know, which is like the whole theme of this chat right now, but there can be some fun in not knowing. There's possibilities. I love possibilities. It's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite energies to tap into is possibilities. But I know for me personally, there have been things that I've been, you know, working towards for so long, and it can be just kind of discouraging sometimes when you've been working towards something but you feel like it's just not getting anywhere. Like, just take a step back, tune back into your heart, tune back into your internal guidance, and tune into that energy of possibilities, because there are limitless possibilities for your life, for your future, and you get to decide like where you're taking your life. I just got like the download of this children's book I read Arlo sometimes, and it says you're the captain of this magical trip and you get to decide like with your choices. And that's so true. Like, some of the kids books out there are just so insightful and so simple. I'm like, adults should be reading this too. Well, not should, because I don't like that word, but I love how simple and profound some of the kids books are. But it's true. You are the captain of this magical trip, which is your life, and it is magical. There's so much magic around you. It's just about slowing down and noticing it and tapping into those frequencies. I've been using that adjective to describe so many things in my life recently. Not only when it came to like our Italy trip that we took, I used the word magical a lot, which, by the way, I just uploaded part 1 of our trip up onto YouTube. If you are curious and want to see our travels, I just show a bunch of clips and explain different things and have some music, and it's fun. It was very fun to create. And it also got me thinking, this is a total side note and tangent, but a random thought that I had while I was creating this video, and actually Stephen brought it up too, Like, how awesome would it be, even if you don't have a YouTube channel? Like, of course, I created this for my YouTube channel, but I also just created it for Steven and I to look back on, to remember our trip, because it was an amazing trip and I want to remember all the parts. But how amazing would it be for you to just film little clips of your trip or any occasion, anything that's going on with you, and record them horizontally on your phone. So what I mean by that is have your phone horizontal, not up and down. So that way you can put it on a computer or a TV and it takes up the whole screen. And you put these clips together and you can add music if you want to. You can even voice over if you want to, but you don't have to. You don't have to make it fancy at all. Just combine these clips so you can watch a video about your trip later on. Like, what a cool keepsake that would be. And if you're interested on how to do that, because I think some people don't know how to do that, one, you could always Google it. That's what I did. Or two, if you want, reach out to me and I will very simply explain how I created this video with just my phone. All of it is filmed on my iPhone and uploaded to my Mac. I do have a Mac. And I put it all together on iMovie. Like, it's so simple if you just want to combine the clips. So, random tangent about this, but I just feel like since it's so easy to catch video clips now, like, think of our parents. If you're in my generation, they had those huge cameras. They had to look around on their shoulder, but all the video was on one videotape, right? And you could put the videotape in the VCR and watch the whole video of like different memories that your family had. We don't combine our memories anymore unless you are a YouTuber, or maybe you are combining them and I just don't know that people do this. Just a simple reminder to you that if you want to capture memories, put it all together in one video, and that could be a really fun keepsake. So, enough about that. I hope you found this episode useful. I hope it helped your heart and your mind if you've been worried about not knowing something, or if you feel yourself spiraling about not knowing something. First of all, show yourself so much love and compassion. We all do it. We all do it. But there is another energy you can tune into. That's your internal guidance. We all have it. We can all tune in. It's just a matter of slowing down and tuning in. And that is why I'm so obsessed with the practices of yoga and meditation, because it really forces me to slow down and tune into my body and makes that connection so much easier. So please share any takeaways you have with me over on Instagram at Lindsay with an A, M as in Michelle Tanner. Please feel free to share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. I am so appreciative when you share this podcast with those around you. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. That's another beautiful way you can support my work. And you can subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to, whether it's Apple iTunes or Spotify, or you can even go subscribe on YouTube. I upload all of my episodes on the Alignment Adventures YouTube channel. You can also go to my personal YouTube and see the Italy video that I mentioned, or the video about reasons you can't hear your internal guidance, or the summer solstice meditation. So many videos up on my personal YouTube channel to help you on your alignment journey. And yeah, I think that's all the reminders I have for you all. I hope you are just doing as well as you can today. And if you aren't, show yourself some love and compassion. And tuning back into your internal guidance is always a beautiful practice to strengthen, and practicing gratitude for the things you have created, because I know that every single one of you listening have created such a beautiful life for yourself. And you can always change things if you feel like it's not going in a direction that aligns with you. So I'm just going to stop there, otherwise I'm going to keep rambling. Hopefully this felt like a chat with me at a coffee shop. I wish I could hear your responses. So if you do have responses or things you want to share with me, do that on Instagram or through my email, hello@Lindsay with an A, M as in Michelle Tanner. And I'm sending you all so much love, all the highest vibes, all the gratitude, and I will see you in the next episode of Alignment Adventures.